Okay, stop. You're being a child. You have neighbors. So we've been modifying this quite a lot. We've done a lot of things for performance, we've done a lot of things for comfort, for handling, and for sound, but we haven't really tackled safety that much. And so one of the most important things that I think that needs to be addressed with this and just motorcycles in general is the horn. I mean, listen to this. It's dinky. It doesn't match up to car horns, just regular traffic. I don't think it grabs enough attention that it needs. We're gonna put it more on this level. Sorry if you have headphones. Much more demanding. Now, we're not gonna go quite as far as this one. This is an air horn, but I think I found a happy medium, which is this, a freeway blaster horn. It's a little bit bigger, and I think it says, yeah, 133 decibels. So this is more on par with a low-tone car horn, and while that's not going to give me the same level as the air horn, it's not going to be that extreme, but I think it will be a significant improvement over just this little thing. Now for this bike, I was considering going full air horn, but there's a couple things that I had to consider. So this is the assembly in here in the Grom. There's a lot of room to play with here because I've removed the air box and I've done a lot of other modifications over the years. But this is the entire assembly and it's quite large. So not only do you have the air horn itself, but you also have this canister. On top of that, there's also a relay that this relies on that goes to the battery in addition to the connections up to the horn here. So there's a lot going on with this. So unfortunately the Benelli kind of lacks in real estate, so I don't know that this entire assembly would actually fit anywhere that I can kind of conceal it. It's really tight, and in fact I'm not even sure that this is going to fit on the direct mounting for the stock one because it's a little dark in there, but it fits right here, kind of behind the oil cooler, between the oil cooler and the top of the engine here. There is some space, but I'm not 100% sure if it's going to fit here. We might have to relocate it just a little bit. But before we get into all that, I think it'd be fun to test the stock horn sound-wise compared to that, and then when we install this compared to that, so we get kind of all three numbers. I seem to be the decibel app guy that puts it up on the side here, so might as well just embrace it. Let's do that before we jump into it. So we'll test this one real quick, we'll test this one, and then when we install this, we'll get a final test to see just how much louder this is compared to the stock, and then kind of how it fits in between these two, because I imagine it'll fall somewhere in the middle there. All right, first the stock. Now for the loud one. Again, apologies. Huh, that was interesting. They both are like exactly 80 decibels. This one was a little bit more like 80 point something, 0.1, I think I saw, but that was really weird. To the ear, this is like 5 times louder than this thing is. It's piercing. So I guess with those results, I'm guessing this will be about 80 decibels. Let's get the old stuff off and out of the way so we can work on getting this in there. Here we go. This is the stock one. Obviously, you can tell just by the size here. Look at that. Diameter's a lot larger, and what I think will matter the most is the width here. Look at that. It's almost double. it is basically double, a little bit over if you count this. But the nice thing is it has the same exact prongs here, so it's going to be a direct fit. We don't have to mess with the wiring. I love that. Let's just try to put this on the original stock mounting plate and see if it fits, because if it fits, fantastic. There's nothing we have to do. This is going to be the easiest install ever, but I don't think that's going to be the case. We might have to bend it or relocate it, something like that, and in which case I'm hoping it's somewhere close by so I don't have to reroute, Jesus Christ, I can't talk, brain fart, somewhere far enough that I have to relocate the wiring that goes to this. We're going to first try to get this on the stock mounting position and see if it fits. So you know how I said I didn't think it was going to fit the stock mounting because of just how small it is? Well, I was right. So here's the bracket, and it originally went in between here and the oil cooler, so this little gap, but this is definitely too big. But I think we're gonna be okay, because I think all that needs to be done is take this bracket and just bend it out so that this can kind of sit diagonally. It'll face backwards, but I think it'll be okay. It'll still be loud enough. Since this actually came with its own bracket, I'm gonna take this bracket out and fit the bracket that it came with, just so I can keep this one nice and straight in case I need to go back to it. So we'll just take this out, bolt in the new one, and we'll bend it back just enough so that we have some clearance here. Hopefully it'll fit that way, and then we can put it on the shrouds and see that everything works. Actually, before we get into all that, let's actually make sure it works in the first place. So here it is, wired up to the stock wiring, and what I'm gonna do is, let's see if it works. Cool. So that's good. Now that we know that this works, we can keep going with what I said, bend the bracket, we'll fit this up, and then we'll put the shrouds on and make sure everything clears. All right, so that wasn't as bad as I thought. We haven't put the shrouds on yet, so I'm not 100% sure if this is gonna fit the way it is. Basically, I just bent it over, and I'm keeping this loose for now just in case I need to rotate it, because this horn, the outlet here is a little wide, and so if I need to put it behind the oil cooler, I can. And just making sure that I have enough clearance on the wire there. So I think I'm all good, but we'll tighten this up after we put the shroud back on, so that way we can kind of make sure that this is all good and it's all wired up still, so works perfectly. So let's put the shroud back on, see if it still fits. Well, that was easy. Put the shrouds on and it barely fits. Like, it's right up against this. In fact, I had to keep the outlet here pushed as far forward to the oil cooler as possible. I had to keep it that way because any further back down and it would push out this piece of the shroud and just be sitting like that. So that's okay. There's plenty of slack in the wires, and so I tightened this thing up. It's all good to go. Everything still works. So we're perfect. Not bad. This was a super easy install, and it sounds so much better. It sounds like it should. But let's actually see how it sounds on the decibel meter. Let's see what the peak decibel is. Okay, 80 decibels. Who would have thought? But it sounds so much better. A little bit more on par with a car than with this monstrosity. Okay, stop. You're being a child. Well, I would say that that is a successful install and quite easy. Direct fit. Not exactly as loud as the air horn in the Grom, but it's more what you would expect in a normal traffic setting with the other cars and trucks around you. So that alone, I think this is a great addition to the safety side of things. With that, I'm super happy, and not to mention it was like, what was it, 10 bucks, 15 bucks, something like that. So fantastic. I'll put this in the description below where I got it. So you can take a look at that too for your Benelli or any other motorcycle, because it's one of those things that I highly recommend that everyone changes on their bike, because the ones that come from the factory are just too small, too quiet for what they need to be. I guess I don't really have to go out and test drive it because I'm not going to just go out and road rage. So see you later.